performers on the Nikkei was Nintendo stock, and I bet that doesn't surprise a lot of you. Shares shot up almost 25% following strong gains on Friday. The reason behind it? Pokémon Go. We know a lot of you downloaded over the weekend. It was one of the most popular and lucrative video games back in the 90s. Now, a new edition has become a massive hit for Nintendo. Our Jose Pagliara joins us with more. And Jose, this is just blowing up. Everyone I know is talking about this.
Yeah, they're playing outside, they're going out to parks, they're playing with their families at home, they're doing it while driving, they're doing it while kayaking. This is huge, and here's why. Nintendo has finally figured out the formula to get video gamers off their couch, outside, and actually interacting with each other. And they've done that by transforming this from the 90s, right, the Game Boy game, into something that you carry around with you. And so the huge deal here is that Nintendo's finally figured out how to augment reality. You pull out your camera, and this little creature appears in the real world, and it superimposes that image. And so there's this merging of real life and virtual life, and the result of that is that Nintendo right now is worth $7 billion more than it was last week. That's massive.
Which is astonishing. And Nintendo, let's remember, was the laggard. You know, they'd lost their mojo. The Wii was falling in popularity. I mean, we had so many conversations about this. So if they pull it off, this has got to be the comeback of comebacks. But you mentioned this crazy idea of people running around. It's sort of already had unintended consequences, hasn't it?
Yes.
Now, shares in the Japanese gaming company Nintendo have jumped by nearly a quarter following the success of its new Pokémon Go smartphone app. It debuted at the top of the gaming charts in the US last week. It's to be released in Japan soon. Millions of users have already downloaded the game. The BBC's Chris Fox is among them.
Pokémon just got real with its new augmented reality mobile game, Pokémon Go. The game gives players the chance to catch Pokémon overlaid on a real-world view from the phone's camera. It's only been out a few days, but it's already proved a monster hit. So much so that at times the game's servers have been overwhelmed. Like the original game, it's all about catching and battling Pokémon, although things work a little bit differently. To catch a Pokémon, I just flick a Pokéball at it, no battling required. The Pokémon pop up at random using your phone's GPS location, although there have been some concerns that people might absent-mindedly run into the road while trying to catch Pokémon. There are already reports that one man in the US fell off his skateboard while playing the game. The game does warn you at the beginning to always take care of your surroundings, but it's very easy to get immersed and carried away, and there are likely to be a lot of children playing. As I walk around visiting landmarks in the real world, I can collect items and battle other players in the virtual world. None of the stops require you to actually go into buildings. One police force in Australia said people had been going inside the station to catch Pokémon. No need for that. But there's also been a serious incident. These men in the US have been charged for allegedly trying to lure players to a secluded Pokestop to rob them. And this statue is my final stop. It represents a Pokémon gym, and it's where I can battle other trainers and have a shot at becoming a gym leader. One thing it has succeeded in is mobilising an army of gamers who used to play Pokémon in the virtual world and are now meeting to play it in the real world too.
We're back now with something that may explain any odd behavior you've seen on the streets recently. The smash hit mobile game app Pokémon Go has only been out for a few days, but it's already got millions following their smartphones to the most random places, and police fear possibly into harm's way. NBC's Jolynn Kent has more.
Gotcha. Pokemon fever is back, and it's everywhere.
Nostalgia hits in, like, I'm a kid, I need to play this again. It's real life.
Well, he texted me like 30 minutes ago saying, let's meet up in Hollywood to catch Pokemon.
Trying to catch them all, you know?
It's blanketing Los Angeles hotspots like Hollywood and Vine, attracting hordes of players to venture outside to Central Park in New York City to stare at their phones. Pokémon Go is a free augmented reality game you play on your smartphone. GPS technology places animated monsters inside in the real world around you. Then you flick this ball here to catch it to move on to the next level. Gotcha. Police departments across the country are cautioning against driving or trespassing while playing. In New York, a warning. Don't let Officer Manello and his new partner catch you. Don't catch them all and drive.
A revolutionary smartphone game or a potentially lethal fad. Pokemon Go hasn't even been out a week and already it's a viral phenomenon.
Yeah, the app has already soared to the top of the download charts and added $7 million in market value to Nintendo. ABC 2 News' Catherine Hawley found out what the popular game is all about today.
It's pretty normal to see people with their heads down, buried in their cell phones. But these people aren't exactly being antisocial. They're playing a game.
But I've been trying to get out there religiously every day.
Getting out there to find things using their phones with unusual sounding names.
Pinsir, Krabby, Tangela,
Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle.
Rattata, Poliwag, Psyduck.
Welcome to the world of Pokemon Go. Patterson Park was packed today with people on a smartphone scavenger hunt. Users wander the neighborhood in search of Pokemon characters who pop up.
That's honestly the best part because gamers are notoriously lazy.
The game pushes players to explore their outdoor surroundings as well as walk. A lot. The app uses your phone's GPS and camera to bring you to real locations to collect items and spot Pokemon.
One of the reasons this game is so popular is because it's so interactive and you can actually capture Pokemon right in front of you.
Finally, to go catch Pokemon, and at least our world version of it is pretty awesome. I think all of us have always wanted to be a Pokemon master.
Yeah, it's just really immersive. Like I said, it gets you out here doing stuff. I just talk to a bunch of people on the path doing it.
Players say it's also forcing them to be more social outside of the game. This group had only been friends for 5 minutes when we ran into them, all meeting, trying to capture Pokemon characters.
So we started talking, and then they showed up, and then we started talking, and we were just like, hey, we all play Pokemon Go. There's a Pokemon right there, Pokemon right there. And that's how we became friends, Pokemon Go friends. That's just how it is.
It's a fun game to try, but if that's not your style, guaranteed you will see plenty of others walking around, gathering, and battling Pokemon.
Now to that Pokemon Go craze. It's sweeping the nation. NBC's Jolene Kent has more on this phenomenon. It's also some of the problems it's causing. Jo, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. That's right. The game is hugely popular. What many don't realize is your safety could be at stake. Experts say it's more than just bumps and bruises from running into someone or something, but there are also privacy and security red flags.
Pokemon Go has been out for just 6 days and it's become a national addiction.
Click on one.
It surpassed Twitter, Tinder, and Snapchat, going to #1 in the Apple and Android app stores. But what many parents and kids don't realize when they're chasing Pikachu are the security risks that may come with the game.
Look, I got it. I got him. No. I got it. You see that?
While the app fosters real-life social interactions, it can also attract unwanted strangers. 17-year-old Kamani Griffin says he and all of his friends are completely obsessed with Pokemon Go.
It's basically the main status quo for everyone around us right now is, are you playing Pokemon Go? What team are you on? How much Pokemon do you have? Are you high level?
The viral game does get kids moving, leading them to local landmarks to unlock new battles and join new teams.
But police warn that criminals are using the app to lure people to unfamiliar places with hopes of catching a Pokemon character like this one.
I got it, Amanda.
Players and parents should be aware of an in-game feature called the Lure module, which increases the likelihood of a Pokemon appearance. Any user can create a lure spot, and that could be used to draw in unsuspecting victims to a specific location.
It brings people together, but of course that safety issue is why I walk around with multiple friends, because it's like, hey, I don't know who you are, I don't know what you do, this may be an uncomfortable situation for me to be in.
That's exactly why April and Luis Ramirez play Pokemon with their 2 kids.
You don't know exactly who's watching your children. They have to be around, aware of their surroundings.
And there's one more rule from mom and dad.
I've learned my lesson on not going into the streets, even if there's a Pokemon in it.
If you signed up with your Google account, Pokemon Go has had access to your email, your Google Photos, and your Google Documents. But the company now telling NBC News it's changing that setting soon. And also, Pokemon said this week they're aware of all those accidents and injuries. The company recommends people be aware, be safe at all times. And one more piece of advice, guys, the app does work in cars when they're moving under 20 miles an hour. And there have been reports of accidents, and police departments, including the NYPD, say don't do it. Do not Pokemon and drive. Guys,
that'll fit nicely on a bumper sticker.
84 in St. Pete right now. Got a Pokemon?
The Pokemon Go craze is affecting everyone, even news reporters. During the morning weather forecast at Tampa station WTSP, meteorologist Bobby Deskins got interrupted in the middle of his report.
St. Pete right now. Got a Pokemon? She's looking at Pokemon right now. This is the location. guys gotta be careful with these phones and this Pokemon. You're just walking around all over the place.
Reporter Allison Croft was following the app looking for Pokemons and happened to walk right into his weather report.
Got a Pokemon?
Allison posted a video on Facebook writing, "That moment you realize you may be addicted to Pokémon Go." The Pokémon Go game has soared in popularity right after its release. The virtual reality game works when users capture, battle, and train a virtual Pokémon that appears in the real world using the phone's GPS and camera. It has become the most downloaded app in the United States in just the first 3 days of it being released.
Pokemon Go has to be experienced to really make sense, but if you're into Pokemon at all, you should experience it. It's not mechanically interesting, but it is very socially interesting thanks to a few smart design decisions, and because of the huge crowd of nostalgic fans currently playing. You wouldn't jump off a bridge because everybody's doing it, but that is a great reason to play Pokemon Go. At least in the short term, Pokemon Go is a proven phenomenon. I can go anywhere in the San Francisco Bay Area and find strangers playing, calling out the names of Pokemon as they simultaneously appear on everyone's phones based on their randomly scattered geographical location. Pokemon Go screenshots are all over Twitter. It feels like everyone is playing. But this is a precarious house of cards built on top of a wobbly foundation of nostalgia. For the most part, Pokemon Go's design as a paper-thin RPG is super accessible but completely unremarkable. You as a trainer have a level, and your captured Pokemon have combat points tied to your level, but it's not explained very well. Gym battles are nothing more than simple tapping-based combat that's barely affected by anything other than point value. Even Pokemon's rock, paper, scissors type matchups hardly matter. Also, the app itself, which is currently at version 0.29, is stuttery, crashy, and performs inconsistently.
Hey everyone, it's Peter Brown standing in for freelance reviewer Miguel Concepcion's review of Pokémon Go. It's fitting that Pokémon's most significant evolutionary leap in its 20-year history is on a mobile platform, which mirrors its humble origins on the Game Boy. We're going outside with Pokémon Go, catching Pokémon with friends, fighting over gyms, and making friends along the way. Simulating a throwing motion, a forward swipe toward your target is all it takes to trap basic Pokémon. It's a credit to the diverse behaviors of these beasts that you can't lackadaisically throw Pokeballs as you attempt to capture them. You have to factor in whether they can fly, jump, or deflect incoming balls. Much of Pokemon Go's augmented reality infrastructure was already in place thanks to developer Niantic's location-based MMO, Ingress. Both games feature point-of-interest check-ins and territorial conflicts, except that Go features 3 teams compared to Ingress's 2. Designated conflict zones are now gyms, and landmarks are called Pokestops. Reminiscent of collectible card games, battling in a gym is a duel of stats, and hoping your cumulative abilities outweigh your opponents. There's added depth in the actual battle, which plays out in real time. Careful timing is needed when attacking and dodging, and your stats determine the effectiveness of your offensive moves as well as your capacity to take hits. What makes these duels even more involved is the ability to gang up on a gym team with multiple concurrent battles. The opportunity to participate and excel in a group helps lower the barrier to entry for newcomers.
Pokémon Go is one of the most fascinating games in recent memory. Not because it's this amazingly well-made game, because it isn't. In fact, it's one of the buggiest, most vapid things I've played all year. No, Pokémon Go is captivating because of the instantaneous effect it's had on popular culture, and Nintendo's market value for that matter. At the time of this recording, this is a game that has overtaken Tinder, Twitter, and Snapchat and concurrent users in the USA, and is the #1 most popular US mobile game to date. Naturally, the game is also the focus of fear-mongering clickbait nonsense by traditional media and social media alike, with people unfortunately falling for hoaxes of players getting killed over deleted save games and ISIS causing server outages and aliens abducting people because of it, all sorts of crap. And yet for every hyperbole-ridden falsehood online, there are just as many amazing, truthful stories surrounding Pokémon Go. And it's this stuff that convinced me to dive into the world of Pokémon for the first time. Yeah, that's right. Until now, I've never played a Pokémon game. I don't know the lore, I've never watched the shows, and I had next to zero interest in addressing that. At least until now, when this free-to-play game showed up on Android and iOS and just took the world by storm to such a degree that I couldn't ignore it. And You know, I've just never had any interest until now, and I think that says a lot about the effect this game is having on people. First things first, Pokémon Go is an augmented reality game, as opposed to virtual reality, which is a replacement for the audiovisual stimulus of real life. Augmented reality, or AR, seeks to combine portions of the real world and the virtual world in a way that sounds cooler than it actually is. In the case of Pokémon Go, this means that you physically go throughout the real world looking for Pokémon to collect using a GPS-enabled mobile device. When a critter you crave is close by, you can tap on it and enter a capturing mode. This can either take place in a virtual environment or an augmented version of the world around you by using your mobile device's front-mounted camera. There's a modicum of skill involved, but really it's just you throwing balls at their face until they succumb to your desires, and there you go. The AR mode for capturing monsters is a pretty neat gimmick at first, and it makes for some fun screenshot fodder to share online when you quote-unquote find Pokemon in unusual places, but the novelty wears off fast. Not only that, but it actually makes it harder to catch them since you have to hold the camera in just the right spot, and it also sucks battery life like crazy. And the game is already bad enough with the battery murdering, since you have to have it open in the foreground with the screen turned on for it to do its thing.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Day 2 of Nintendo Treehouse Live at E3. I want to thank everybody who tuned in with us yesterday for a full day of Zelda that started off with Pokemon Sun and Moon. This morning, we are starting off with Pokemon once again, but this time, we have an all-star lineup of developers, translators, and field testers here on stage with us for a very special developer Q&A on Pokemon Go. From the Pokemon Company, we have with us today Mr. Ishihara.
Hi.
From Game Freak, we have Mr. Masuda.
Hi.
From Niantic, we have Mr. Nomura. Of course, from Nintendo, we have Mr. Miyamoto himself. Supporting us with translation today, we have David Numrich from the Pokemon Company International, and our good friend Raymond, who many of you saw on stream yesterday from Nintendo, translating. And then we have two representatives of the community of field testers who have been field testing Pokemon Go. We've got Josh Jaywitz Wittenkeller and Aaron Cybertron Jang. Hey guys. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Pokemon Go, and I'm sure there's not too many of you, but Pokemon Go is a new application coming for smart devices that allows you to capture and battle Pokemon in real life using location data on your phone. Obviously, there's been excitement building for the launch of Pokemon Go ever since the original announcement. And of course, building towards the field testing that has now started around the world in different countries, Japan, the US, and Australia. But one of the big surprises that came out of the original announcement of Pokemon Go was the collaboration between the three key companies of the Pokemon Company, Niantic, and Nintendo. So, Mr. Ishihara, I was wondering if perhaps you could maybe talk a little bit about the reaction to the announcement and what the reactions have been with the launch of the field tests as well.
去年発表されてから、すごく期待が高まっている状況ではあると思うんですけども、フィールドテストも、いろんな国で始まって、特にその発表会で、多分ファンの、皆さんがすごくびっくりしたのは、その任天堂、ナイアンティック、ポケモンの3社のコラボレーションというところもあったと思うんですけれども、発表、してからのなんていうんですかね、その、世の中の反響というものっていうのはいかがでしょうか。
まずフィールドテスターの募集をしたときにものすごい反響があったので、すごい手応えをまず感じましたね。
So I'm definitely feeling a really positive reaction. When we began the field test signups, we just had so many people signing up, so I was very pleased to see that.
本当にフィールドテスターの皆さんには素晴らしい意見や素晴らしいデータをたくさん提供いただきましたので、今日ここでまずありがとうと言いたいです。
And to all the field testers, I mean, we've been getting a lot of amazing feedback. We've been able to gather a lot of data based on their gameplay. So I really just want to say thanks to everyone who's been helping with the test.
でそのフィールドテスターの代表として今日ジョシさんとアーロンさんが、来ていただいてますので、彼らからいろんな意見や質問をぶつけていただきたいと思っています。
And as two representatives of that field testing community, we have Josh and Aaron here today, and I hope they'll ask me a bunch of questions and maybe give me some of their candid opinions as well.
もともとこのポケモン GO のプロジェクトは その2013年の、Google のエイプリルフールのポケモンチャレンジ、それはこちらの野村さんが仕掛けて考えたものなんですけど、そこから始まっていますので、その辺の話も少しね、野村さんの方からも話していただければと思います。
And this project really got its start back in 2013 when we did an April Fool's project with Google, the Pokemon Challenge. And actually, Mr. Tatsuo Nomura right here, he's at Niantic now, was kind of at the center of that project, and I think we'll be able to hear more about it from him.
So yeah, Nomura-san, you started work on it as an April Fool's project. Can you talk about that and how development's going so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So Pokemon Challenge, the video was just showing up there. You can actually find me in there. Yeah, it was one of the April Fool's Day joke that I was worked on when I was back in Google Maps team, and that Pokemon Challenge got me connected with Mr. Ishihara here and John Hanke, a CEO at Niantic, who started this real-world gaming genre with Ingress. And so John and Ishihara-san and myself, we all met, and then we basically agreed that this is a great opportunity. We can bring Pokemon into the real world. It was really exciting. I'm really happy to see how it turned out to a real project. And we already started field test in Australia, New Zealand, and Japan and US. So there are more than tens of thousands of players are actually playing it. In fact, I think the last time I checked, there were 30 Pokeball throw per second. So if you think about it, that's really amazing.
Now, Mr. Miyamoto, of course, there's a peripheral device that is going to be associated with Pokemon Go called Pokemon Go Plus, and we're going to ask you some questions about that a little bit later. But I was wondering if there was anything you could add about the partnership between Nintendo and Niantic and Pokemon and how that got started?
ポケモン GO とつながるこのポケモン GO プラスというデバイスがあるんですけれども、それについてちょっと後ほどお話を伺いたいと思うんですけれども、その前にもしこの3社のこの関係、協力関係というのについて何か話していただける内容がありましたら。
本当に実はこれね、岩津さんが石原さんと進めたということで、僕ももともとポケモンに関係があるものなんですから、今日はここで皆さんにねご説明一緒にできることが非常に楽しみにしてました。
So actually, this is something that Mr. Iwata and Mr. Ishihara had started working on, and I was also involved. So I'm very excited to be here to share this with all of you.
Thank you. So we have a number of key phrases or topics that we kind of want to hit on today, and one of those is real-world gaming. And real-world gaming is something I think that obviously Niantic pioneered with their game Ingress. It uses the location-based data in your phone. And in the case of Pokemon Go, what it does is it allows you to go out and find Pokemon in the real world, find ways to capture them, and battle them. And it's really kind of impressive. I've been actually fortunate enough to be a part of the beta test or the field testing myself, and having a lot of fun catching Pokemon and playing. But Mr. Ishihara, obviously we've had a lot of people around the world are now a part of the field test, and we're seeing a lot of reaction from them. But I'm actually interested in how you're playing Pokemon Go in your everyday life.
まずはナイアンティック社が切り開いたジャンルのリアルワールドゲームですね、位置情報を使ってゲームをするジャンルになるんですけれども、今回のポケモン GO の場合は外に出てポケモンを捕まえるというものだと思うんですけども、自分もフィールドテスターとして参加させてもらっていて、すごく非常に楽しんでるんですけれども、石田さんとしてはどういう遊び方をされてるんでしょうか。
そうですね、こちらのフィールドテスターの皆さん、特に、ポケモンを実際の空間で捕まえるという体験をされていると思いますけれども、私自身もフィールドテスターとして、私自身はかなり優秀なフィールドテスターだと思ってるんですけれども、毎日毎朝愛犬と一緒にですねフィールドテストしています。あそこに少し映ってますけれども。
So I think everyone here has been playing in the field test and really enjoying going out into the real world, catching Pokemon in the familiar spaces that around their neighborhoods and such. But I'm also a very diligent field tester myself. I think I have provided a lot of good feedback. And here's some pictures of my morning walks with my dog, and I've been catching Pokemon.
I love these pictures of your dog. He looks very nervous with the Pokemon there in the picture with
これ写真すごいです。やっぱこれワンちゃんちょっと緊張してるんじゃないですか、ポケモンの前で。
ちなみに愛犬の名前はポキと言います。
So, yeah, my dog's name is Pokey actually.
はい。彼と毎朝。
I also have been doing a lot of field testing while walking my dog, and I find that if my dog is in the viewfinder, it seems to me like it's easier for me to catch the Pokemon. Is this true or am I crazy?
自分は犬の散歩を毎朝してるんですけれども、そのポケモンを捕まえるときに、ワンちゃんが映ってるとなんかこう捕まえやすく、なるような感じも自分は思うんですけれども、そういうなんかプログラミングっていうのは。
野村さんそんなすごいテクノロジー入ってますか？
So did you put that kind of stuff in the game, Mr. Nomura?
Yeah, the artificial intelligence.
AI を使って優秀なもの。
気のせいですか？
気のせいですね。
No, it's probably just your imagination.
あと実際にね、私もこのロサンゼルスでたくさんポケモンを捕まえたりしてきましたの
And
で。
I've actually caught a few Pokemon here in Los Angeles.
こんな感じですね。会場でミャオスや
This is here in the convention center.
入り口ですね。
Right at the entrance to E3.
こんな感じですね。はい。で昨日はこのサンムーンの会場で、マチョップが出てきました。
During the Treehouse Live segment for Pokemon Sun and Moon.
はい。でゲームの方はですね、こんな感じで、結構強いポケモンまで育て上げております。
So I've actually got quite a few really strong Pokemon.
捕まえた場所は千代田区東京ジャパンになってます。
And you can see that on the location of where I caught it, Chiyoda and Tokyo.
はい。そうですね。ロサンゼルスで捕まえたミャオス。
Here's the Meowth that I caught here in LA.
EV ですね。
And EV.
ロサンゼルスね。はい。もう毎日素晴らしいフィールドテスターになってると思います。
So I think I'm a pretty good field tester. I'm playing it, quite a bit every day.
I can prove that.
Did you know? The idea for Pokémon Go partly came from an April Fool's publicity stunt in 2014. The stunt saw Google and the Pokémon Company teaming up with a small game that challenged users to find Pokémon in the Google Maps mobile app. Players could catch 151 Pokémon from various generations and would be crowned Pokémon Master if they caught them all with the exception of Mew. Interestingly, the same group that made the April Fool's video also created the original trailer for Pokémon Go. Although the April Fool's joke was the catalyst for Pokémon Go's creation, the history of how the game came to be goes back even farther. Pokémon Go developer Niantic Inc. have been experimenting with map-based app projects for several years now. Members of its staff had worked with Google Maps and even on the Pokémon April Fool's joke, and Niantic founder John Hanke helped create Google Earth. Their first published app was called Field Trip, which suggested interesting places to visit near the user's location. The app's intended purpose was to help and encourage people to explore the world around them. Niantic took the basic premise of Field Trip and expanded upon it with their next project titled Ingress. Ingress is an augmented reality turf war game that uses a map interface for players to locate and capture hotspots called portals. The two opposing factions either capture existing portals or create new portals by submitting real-world landmarks to Niantic. Niantic wanted to create an open, real-world gaming platform that anyone could build upon or modify. Ingress was constructed with this in mind and would be used by Google and Niantic to help external partners and clients build their own games. By early 2015, Google had become a massive corporation that had many other companies and teams within it. It was decided that several of these entities would be sectioned off into a holding company called Alphabet Inc. This would give the core Google company more direction and give companies under Alphabet more freedom. Niantic was one of the teams that were sectioned off and separated from Google in 2015. While at Google, Niantic was somewhat restricted and couldn't be given any special treatment while using Google's platforms. If Niantic were given favorable treatment, other developers might feel disadvantaged and cut ties with Google altogether. Separating from Google also gave Niantic the opportunity to work with whoever they wanted, including companies that might be afraid of making deals with a big name like Google. The 2014 April Fool's joke had previously built relations between Google and Nintendo, and Niantic Niantic used these connections to their advantage. Niantic pitched Nintendo and the Pokémon Company the idea of combining Pokémon and their existing Ingress technology. To Niantic's surprise, they found that the Pokémon Company CEO, Tsunekazu Ishihara, and his wife were both Ingress players. Ishihara and John Hanke realized their visions for a map-based Pokémon game were very close, and their meetings went well. In late 2015, Google, Nintendo, and the Pokémon Company invested an initial $20 million in Niantic to show their support and help fund development of Pokémon Go. Niantic then began the process of redesigning their platform to work with the Pokémon world. They had previously gathered geographical data and images from Ingress players. While playing Ingress, users were encouraged to document publicly accessible buildings, locations, and works of art so that they could be turned into portals. The team used this information to define the locations of thousands of Pokestops and gyms in Pokemon Go. This is also why many Pokestops are churches.
Now, James, in your recent International Forecaster article, you noted privacy advocates as kind of establishment speak for normal human beings. I think here that's kind of the same for ethicists as a euphemism for anyone paying attention.
You're exactly right. I mean, this is a stupid article, and the person who wrote it should be ashamed of their existence. Military robot makers think that police using armed robots is a good idea. Wow, what a surprise. Who would have thought it? Wow, I'm glad they did this hard-hitting, cutting-edge research to bring us this hard-hitting story. Of course, the military contractors want this to be used by the police because, yes, it's going to line their pocketbooks. No surprise there. And of course, the police want to use them because, hey, it makes their job easier. And of course, the mayor and everyone else is on board because, hey, all the money from the DHS flows in like manna from heaven to buy these newfangled robots that now are so necessary in this age of civil war. So I mean, there's nothing at all surprising about this. And I think you're right. They bury the actual debate about this down to the 5th or 6th paragraph. Oh, these ethicists they have some concerns. But anyway, hey, ka-ching, everybody, let's go jump on board the train here. So it's very sad, and it brings me back to something that you were saying on Morning Monarchy recently, where you were talking about watching the people stumbling around playing Pokemon Go and thinking, think ahead 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. We see where this is going, and it's not good. It's the same thing in this situation. Look at what is happening right now. We all know where this is going, and it's like a nightmare freight train that we're just trying to figure out how to derail, if there is any way to derail it at all.
It really seems like, and again, this is all part of the plan, that everything really just went into overdrive in the last couple of weeks. And I think we kind of called it here not only a week ago, but we called it as much as 6 and 7 months ago, saying tensions are running high, to put it quite understatedly. Our last story here on New World Next Week, episode 277 for July 14th, 2016, a very poor excuse for good news. Efforts to expand the financial surveillance portion of the Patriot Act fail. For now, this via our buddy Dan Dix at Press for Truth. On July 11th, the U.S. House of Representatives attempted to expand the Patriot Act by passing H.R. 5606. The bill required 2/3 in order for it to pass, but it ended up being rejected. The final vote was 229 to 177, which didn't provide the supermajority bar needed in order for it to see passage. The particular provision of the Patriot Act that could have been enhanced was Section 314, the portion of the act that encourages financial institutions and the federal government to share information with one another about transactions that they might believe are suspicious activity that could potentially be related to terrorism. Aside from this one particular effort of expansion with H.R. 5606, which was declined in the House, there are still many other existing programs out there which are unconstitutional and allow for the systemic violation to civil liberties. But we already mentioned it. They don't even really need those either, James. Operation Pokemon's going like gangbusters right now.
Unfortunately so. And yes, this is, to a certain extent, I guess it's a good thing that this particular act failed, but they don't really need this for a number of different reasons, one of which there's already so many different bank reporting rules. Just go to your bank and try to withdraw more than $1,000 in cash, or try to move $10,000 of cash. All of that's already being reported to the government. So this is just formality and window dressing so that they can peer into anyone's financial details at any time. But again, given that the NSA literally literally has their ears in the trunk line of the internet and everything that's passing through all forms of communication. Do you really think they couldn't get access to your financial details if they really wanted to? Of course they could. This is just them writing themselves the blank check so that they can get the get out of jail free card when it's finally exposed. So I guess it's a good thing, but the bigger picture is that it's already happening. And as you say, I mean, this ties into to the Pokemon Go phenomenon, which is taking off right now. And I'm glad you referenced it again in Morning Monarchy, because the first thing I thought when I saw this app was, oh, it's the game from Star Trek. Remember Star Trek Next Generation, where everybody's playing this game and they're all... That's exactly what I think when I think of what's happening right now. Anyway, for people who don't know about the connections between the CIA and Pokemon Go, I'll refer you back to Morning Monarchy, or I just wrote an article for the International Forecaster talking about those interesting connections and the fact that people are now entering the Matrix economy, where they literally pay for government-connected spy agencies to spy on them, to give them their details. And everywhere they go, all the pictures from the app's collecting and all of this information being snarfed up behind the scenes, and people are paying companies for the privilege of allowing them to spy on them.
Shocking breaking news, you guys. Pokemon Go players unknowingly trained delivery robots with 30 billion images. Nearly a decade ago, when you weren't listening to Media Monarchy, Pokemon Go turned the real world into a digital scavenger hunt with virtual creatures hiding in plain sight. I told you at the time, we saw them in Portland all over the place. You think the fentanyl zombies stumbling all over the place are bad now? Again, they were just the follow-up. Saw one dude on the Max train in Portland, and he had 3 devices. I was like, what? Oh... This dude is hardcore doing Pokemon Go. He had multiple devices, so he was playing multiple accounts at the same time. The early augmented reality smartphone crap prompted hundreds of millions of players to wander into parks, parking lots, private property, giant bodies of water, and even dimly lit alleyways, peering through their phone camera in search of Pikachus and Charizards that the app superimposed onto their surroundings. It's fake as fuck, so of course it was a major hit. 10 years on from the app's peak, it turned out that digital creature catching may now help that piping hot pizza you ordered find you. Because we could never get pizzas delivered before, you guys. Niantic Spatial, part of the team behind Pokemon Go, announced a partnership with Coco Robotics. Not the curry place in Japan that Corbett loves, but a company that makes short-distance delivery robots for food and groceries. Soon, those robot couriers will scoot around sidewalks and the shit on said sidewalks using Niantic Spatial's Visual Positioning System, VPS, a navigation tool that can reportedly pinpoint location down to a few centimeters just by looking at nearby buildings and landmarks. That's right, that's how Israel also delivers drones straight to your door. Niantic Spatial trained that VPS model on more than 30 billion images created and captured by Pokemon Go users, and claims it will help robots operate in areas where the GPS falls short. In other words, we could never find anything before in the past. All that time users spent wandering around playing Pokemon Go will now help determine how well a courier robot can deliver your takeout. Something tells me this is skipping over the middle part of all the military-industrial complex and just jumping to the part where it's like, you like food, don't you? And, you know, maybe some pizza code words. It is a stark example of how crowdsourced data, seemingly collected for one purpose, can be quietly repurposed years later for something quite different. It turns out that getting Pikachu to realistically run around and getting Coco's robot to safely and accurately move through the world is actually the same problem, not a problem. Niantic Spatial CEO John Hank said in a recent interview with, of course, Chomsky Epstein MIT Technology Review. Niantic says photos and scans collected through Pokemon Go and its augmented reality apps, and again, that is where I draw the hard fucking line. You will die on that hill. I will never wear your augmented fucking goggles. Yeah, I've got some devices. I got my music bed playing on a shitty iPad from a decade ago. But I imagine everybody's going to have to find, do you have that line in the sand? Oh, wait, it was removed by erosion and global warming. Niantic says photos and scans collected through Pokemon Go and its AR apps have produced a massive data set of more than 30 billion real-world images. The company is now using that data to power visual navigation for delivery robots. Not for you, dumbass. Letting them identify exact locations on city streets without relying on GPS. Huh. So it turns out they were feeding the AI beast system exactly like I fucking said so. Moments after it launched, Monarchy was on the case. Check out our cover art there for Pokemon Control, July 12th, 2016, nearly a decade ago. What did I talk about on that episode? A decade ago, Pokemon Go is a government surveillance psyop conspiracy.
You're listening to The Corbett Report.
Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to the Corbett Report. I'm your host, James Corbett of CorbettReport.com, coming to you, as always, from the sunny climes of Western Japan here in December of 2024 with episode 470 of the Corbett Report podcast, Pokémon Go. Another conspiracy confirmed. You know what they say these days, right? The old joke. What's the difference between reality and conspiracy theory? About 6 months? Well, in this case, it's been about 8 years. But anyway, the truth has finally been revealed. What on earth am I talking about? Of course, I'm talking about everyone's favorite game, Pokemon Go. You remember Pokemon Go, right? That craze that swept the nation, internationally really, back in those heady halcyon days of the summer of 2016.
Pokemon Go just came out, and everyone you know is probably playing it. More than that, every website is writing about it, every news network is broadcasting about it, and everyone is posting pictures of cute Pokemon on social media. But how? And why?
Jose, this is just blowing up. Everyone I know is talking about this.
Yeah, they're playing outside, they're going out to parks, they're playing with their families at home, they're doing it while driving, they're doing it while kayaking. This is huge, and here's why. Nintendo has finally figured out the formula to get video gamers off their couch, outside, and actually interacting with each other.
One of the reasons this game is so popular is because it's so interactive, and you can actually capture Pokemon right in front of you.
Finally, to go catch Pokemon, and at least our world version of it is pretty awesome. I think all of us have always wanted to be a Pokemon master.
Yeah, it's just really immersive. Like I said, it gets you out here doing stuff. I just talked to a bunch of people on the path doing it.
Players say it's also forcing them to be more social outside of the game. This group had only been friends for 5 minutes when we ran into them, all meeting, trying to capture Pokemon characters.
So we started talking, and then they showed up, and then we started talking, and we were just like, hey, we all play Pokemon Go. It's a Pokemon right there, and that's how we became friends, Pokemon Go friends. That's just how it is.
Look at this. There's a Vaporeon that spawned right there, so everyone's running.
There's a what there? You tell me you're
There's a Vaporeon.
That's funny.
Oh my god.
Yes, that Pokemon Go. But in case somehow you managed to miss that phenomenon when it was sweeping the world back in 2016, let alone the 8 years it has continued to, I guess, be at least a game that exists, if not so much of a phenomenon, then let's go about collecting some information about this to bring everyone up to speed. And as the Bastion of Truthiness will inform us, Pokemon Go is a 2016 augmented reality mobile game, part of the Pokemon franchise, developed and published by Niantic in collaboration with Nintendo and the Pokemon Company for iOS and Android devices. It uses mobile devices with GPS to locate, capture, train, and battle virtual Pokemon, which appear as if they are in the player's real-world location. The game is free to play. It uses a freemium business model combined with local advertising and supports online purchases for additional in-game items, as well as virtual and real-world events. The game launched with around 150 species of Pokemon, which had increased to around 870 by late 2024. Yay. Now, what's the old saying? If it's free, you're the product, right? That's what they say. And I wonder what they could be selling with regards to this GPS location data. I wonder if we'll find out. Anyway, of course, we can find out more about Pokemon Go and the phenomenon that occurred when it was released in 2016 from this press release. I mean, this news article by Mr. or Miss or he, she, it, A.E. Osworth, with this strange queer your tech with fun accompanying graphic. I don't understand this at all, from some outlet called Geekery, that it's something to do with autostraddle. I don't know what any of this means, but anyway, here's the headline from 2016. Pokemon Go came out in the US. Let's catch 'em all. Yes, what a hard-hitting news article. Anyway, it starts by noting that Pokemon Go has been released. Finally, I guess there were people waiting with bated breath for this. And, download it while you can. And then it explains the premise of Pokemon Go. You are a Pokemon trainer and a brand new professor, Professor Willow, who some seem to think is steamy, has asked you to carry around a Pokedex and to occasionally transfer some Pokemon to him for study. Same deal, different tree person. I don't know what any of this means. You even start by catching one of the traditional 3, Squirtle, 5-ever for me. What's incredibly different is the Pokemon show up in our world. I caught the Squirtle standing on my laptop's keyboard, for example. You also gain Pokeballs by stopping at real landmarks and public art, a lot like Ingress. If you get an egg, you can use an incubator to hatch it after you walk a certain number of steps. There's no Poke Centers, and you have to use potions and revives to heal up your Pokemon after battle. And, ! Battling at the gyms are very different. When you get to level 5, you join a team, and teams battle for control over gyms. That part is more like Ingress than Pokemon. Here's the trailer. And then there's the link to the trailer. This is... I honestly, I feel like I'm reading a foreign language here, and I guess I have officially reached old man status. If this was the 1980s, I'd be looking at the VCR and wondering how to make it stop blinking 12, 12, 12 at me, because I don't even know. And ! Battling, is that a term, or was that a typo? Or I don't even know. I don't know what any of this means, but hopefully Brock will have plenty of footage of people playing, or whatever this looks like, whatever strange AR nonsense is happening that has attracted so many people. But okay, so there was this game that was released that involved you taking your phone out and going out into the world and trying to catch Pokeballs or whatever. I don't know. I don't follow any of this, but people were excited about it. So what? People have fun lots of different ways. Why spoil it? I mean, no, of course. The conspiracy party poopers come along to poop the party once again. And here's that arch party pooper James Corbett from July of 2016. The CIA's Pokemon Go app is doing what the Patriot Act can't. And I set the scene with some of the information about different privacy issues that were taking place and going through the newswires at that time. But then I get into the game itself, talking about how incredibly popular the game was at that time. It topped the App Store's top grossing category within 24 hours of its release. It's been downloaded an estimated 7.5 million times in the US alone, generating an estimated $1.6 million per day for Nintendo. In the first 2 trading days after the game's release, Nintendo's market value rose a staggering $7.5 billion. That's right, folks. This is not merely a game. It's a phenomenon. And I go on to talk about how the Pokemon Go game is prompting scores of people out into the streets to go chasing for wild Pokemon to capture. It's also prompting heists, violence, hoaxes, and hysteria. And I talk about, for example, the restaurants and businesses trying to cash in on their proximity to spots with lots of in-game activity. But also the robbers who are now using lures, which attract Pokemon to a certain spot, to lure gamers in to be mugged. One 19-year-old hunting for water Pokemon in a rural river ended up uncovering a dead body. Other such things, people getting fired from their jobs over the game, hoaxes about people being murdered while other people are filming themselves playing, whatever. A lot of craziness was happening, and again, if you lived through it, maybe you remember some of this craziness at the time. But, There's just a couple of niggly details from the terms and conditions that maybe players should have some sort of awareness of. I know we all just automatically click agree to whatever license comes up when we're signing up for something, but well, how about this? Firstly, the app requires an excessive amount of permissions on a user's device, including the ability to read your contacts, find accounts on your device, and access your camera. The app even requires full access to a user's Google account, which it can then use to read your emails, send emails from your account, browse your Google Drive documents and photos, etc. But apparently that's just a mistake, and it will be corrected soon. Well, thanks. Secondly, the game's privacy policy contains such gems as, we may disclose any information about you or your authorized child that is in our possession or control to government or law enforcement officials or private parties. What could go wrong? But wait, it gets worse. The maker of the app, Niantic Labs. Never heard of them? That's because until last year, they were an internal startup of none other than Google, the NSA-linked Big Brother company. Even now, Google remains one of Niantic's major backers. Niantic was founded by John Hankey, who also founded Keyhole, Inc., the mapping company which was created with seed money from In-Q-Tel, the CIA's venture capital arm, which was eventually rolled into Google Maps. So yes, the Pokemon game currently taking the internet by storm and scooping up all their data, including activities, movements, and communications, was created by a CIA-linked businessman who gestated his company at Google. Feeling safe yet? And here's the kicker. As it turns out, yes, the big, bad, Big Brother spies of the NSA and the DHS and the CIA don't really need their Patriot Act powers. After all the powers that shouldn't be need to do is create a fun, shiny trinket for the people to play with, and they will literally pay for their own surveillance.
Get this! Stop! Keep recording
It's
this!
a Bulbasaur, you stick!
So I was in the house and I was putting the baby down for an afternoon nap when I saw out my front window that there's this black dude and this Indian lady standing on my grass, sort of staring at their phones and walking around. And then he said something to her and she said something to him, and then a fight broke out.
I saw that there was a Pokestop outside this house. I thought it would be nice to set up a lure module and maybe attract some rare Pokemon. Maybe even meet some new friends.
My homeboy who actually told me about Tinder, what's up, Ray Ray? He told me to get this like Pokemon's app right here, so I went and got it, and they got these cool little characters like dinosaurs and ducks and shit, you know.
Then this guy shows up and he starts calling the Pokemon by the wrong names. I don't know, just on purpose to patronize me, making fun of me. I don't know what his deal was. He called Bulbasaur.
That's Onion Turtle.
Geodude.
Punchy Rock.
Meowth.
That cat with them long ass arms.
Ekans.
Purple shit.
He called Diglett.
That's floor shit right there.
And Doug Trio.
That's 3 floor shits.
He knew Pikachu, but everybody knows Pikachu.
Oh yeah, that's Pikachu right there.
He called Weepinbell.
Oh, that's almost a pair.
Weedle.
Party Wiener.
Beedrill.
Everybody know that's Big Dick B.
Bees don't even have dicks. It's a stinger.
She just like lost it.
And then this girl started screaming at me all crazy and shit, and I'm just trying to catch these party wieners, you know what I mean, man? Like, this shit is funny as hell.
And so that's when I came outside and I pulled out my phone to record the fight.
Please be advised, this footage is violent in nature, so it may not be suitable for younger viewers.
Playing this game.
Hey, I said stop fighting.
Play the
filming
game.
this.
You don't want to play
I'm
right.
filming
You
this.
gotta learn their names. If you
Knock it off. Get off my lawn. I
Learn
said
their
stop fighting.
names.
Are you recording this? Are you okay? Yeah? Come on.
Somehow they made up and now they're friends and they're still on my front lawn. And they invited their friend. You know, if people could stop coming onto my lawn, I don't know how my house became a part of this game that everyone's playing on their phones. But whoever made the game, if they could take 3921 Filoni off of the game, that would be great. Are you gonna air the part where I say my address? Yeah. Could you not air the part where they say my address? Also, I don't want to say black guy.
But you said black guy.
Okay.
As the Secretary said earlier today, though, and I think it's an important reminder, you're playing the Pokemon thing right there, aren't you?
I'm just keeping an eye on it.
It's an important reminder. We know this won't be easy. We recognize it's a challenge. Did you get one?
No, the signal is not very good.
I'm sorry about that.
I want to be the best there
ever was to beat all the rest. Yeah, that's my cause.
Electro, Diglett, Nidoran, Mankey, Venusaur, Rattata, Fearow, Pidgey, Seaking, Jolteon, Dragonite, Ghastly, Ponyta, Vaporeon, Poliwrath, Butterfree.
Catch 'em, gotta catch 'em all. Pokemon! I'll search across the land, look far and wide, release from my hand